Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at AI, specifically what's going on with OpenAI and all the buzz around these GPT models.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
For sure. And you guys sent in a ton of YouTube videos, mostly from French creators, which is interesting.
Yeah, they've been doing some great analysis.
Absolutely. We've got news, demos, even some speculation going on. And of course, OpenAI's own blog post dropped recently.
Right.
So our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to sift through it all and figure out what's really going on with this GPT-5.
Is it a revolution? Is it hype?
Yeah, is it a giant leap or just like marketing speak?
Well, even before we get to GPT-5, one thing that struck me is this feeling of, like, GPT soup out there.
GPT soup. I like that.
Too many models, so many choices.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
It really can, and I think that's something a lot of users are feeling right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're scrolling through, trying to figure out which GPT to use for what. It's like you need a degree in AI just to get started.
You almost need a cheat sheet.
Totally. And, Dr. Fierce, one of the YouTubers we were looking at, he did a great job actually showing this in one of his videos, like just how cluttered the ChatGPT interface is becoming.
Yeah, it's a problem they need to solve.
Big time.
And it seems like OpenAI is realizing that. Sam Altman has even talked about this idea of streamlining everything, making it more unified, more...
Keyword magical, right?
Yeah, magical. Everyone picked up on that word.
That got people's attention for sure.
It did. And I think one of the channels, Vision IA, was especially enthusiastic about that idea, making it simpler, less confusing.
Right.
From a design perspective, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, fewer choices, maybe even better results.
Well, think of it like that JAM study, right?
Oh, yeah, too many options and people just freeze up.
Exactly. So maybe streamlining is the way to go with these GPT models.
Absolutely. So how could they actually do that? I mean, how do you unify all these different models?
There's this idea floating around of a router LLM.
Okay, our router.
Basically like a traffic cop for AI. You ask your question, and this router AI figures out which GPT brain is best suited for the job.
So like a quick fact check goes to one model, but a deep analysis gets sent to the big guns.
Exactly. Small questions, small model. Big questions, you get the full power.
That's pretty smart. Not only is it easier for the user, but OpenAI could save money by not running those massive models for every little thing.
Exactly. Efficiency and user-friendliness all in one.
I like it. So this router LLM, is that something OpenAI is actually working on, or is this just speculation?
Well, they haven't confirmed anything specifically.
Right.
But it fits with this whole idea of simplification and unification that Altman's been talking about.
For sure. Okay, so we've got GPT soup, the need for streamlining, this idea of a router LLM.
Yeah.
But then there's the big news, right?
Yeah.
GPT 4.5 coming soon.
Yeah, that caught a lot of people off guard.
It did. So what is 4.5? Is it a stopgap before GPT-5? Is it a big upgrade?
Well, Altman himself said it's significantly better than GPT-4, but he also said it'll feel a bit null once 5 comes out.
That's confusing. So which is it?
I think the key here is understanding the timeline and where they're going with all of this. GPT 4.5, it's kind of like the last hurrah of the old school GPTs.
Old school, meaning?
It's not built on the same reasoning system as what they call the O series.
The O series, like O3.
Right, that's where the really advanced stuff is happening. But 4.5 is still based on the older architecture.
Okay, interesting. One of the YouTubers, MyCode, he actually did an experiment with GPT-4, gave it some coding challenges.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Even with that older tech, it managed to do some pretty impressive things. But it needed really specific instructions.
Right, you had to hold its hand a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Makes you wonder what the O series could do with code,
Definitely. And the thing is, OpenAI has apparently been using GPT 4.5 internally for months now.
Really? So why the way to release it?
Cost, probably. Running these things at scale is incredibly expensive. It's like a high-performance race car.
Lots of fuel.
Lots of computing power, which translates to money. But over time, those costs come down.
Right, so maybe they're finally at a point where it's financially feasible to release 4.5 to the public.
Could be. But it does raise some questions, right? Is this just to keep up with Anthropic and Claude 3.5?
Oh yeah, some people are saying Claude is actually better than ChatGPT right now.
There's definitely a battle going on for AI dominance.
AI drama. Okay, so we've got 4.5, a bridge to the main event, which is GPT-5, this supposedly revolutionary, game-changing AI built on this whole new approach. But it begs the question, why release them so close together? Good question. Is OpenAI feeling the heat?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's certainly possible.
Okay, so we've got this bridge, GPT 4.5 leading to the main event, GPT-5. But what is it about GPT-5 that makes it this portal, as everyone keeps calling it? What makes it so different?
This is where Renaud Decode's analysis of Sam Altman's tweet comes in. GPT-5 isn't just a better language model. It's meant to be a portal to everything AI can do.
Whoa, okay. So imagine a single place for writing, calculations, research, even creating images, analyzing documents. It's like having access to all the AI tools in one place.
Exactly. No more jumping between models, just one unified AI experience.
That's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. And it goes beyond just answering your questions. GPT-5 will be able to act on your behalf.
Right.
Think of it less like asking a question and more like giving an order.
Oh, okay. So, like, I need to schedule a meeting. GPT-5 doesn't just find an open slot on my calendar. It actually sends the invites, books the room, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. It's like having a superpowered personal assistant.
I saw that Arthur Vilcourt covered a presentation at Vita Tech where they hinted at some of this stuff. Scheduling meetings, updating your CRM. It's pretty wild.
Right. Even Bill Gates was surprised by how much of a leap this seems to be. He originally thought progress would be much more gradual.
Yeah, this does feel like a sudden jump forward.
It does. But, as they say, with great power
Comes great responsibility. I was just about to say that. Everyone's excited about what GPT-5 can do, but is anyone a little worried? We're talking to AI that can practically run our lives.
Vision IA brought up a good point. OpenAI is combining GPT and the O series into one massive model.
Okay, so all that power, all that intelligence in one place.
This is unprecedented. Sam Altman even admitted he doesn't think he'll be smarter than GPT-5.
Whoa, okay. That is actually kind of scary when you put it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on the verge of something truly groundbreaking, but potentially terrifying too, right?
That's why OpenAI is putting so much emphasis on their safety committee. Remember that blog post?
Yeah, the one about AI safety.
They're not just worried about preventing GPT-5 from doing something harmful. They're trying to figure out how to manage the impact of this technology on the whole world.
It's like, how do you put the genie back in the bottle once it's out?
Exactly. Renaud Decode said something that really stuck with me. He said most people won't understand how this technology works anymore. They'll just see the results. And that could be dangerous, right?
Yeah, imagine that level of power in the wrong hands. It's like that deep fake of Kanye West that Light Sakuchi showed in his video. It was so convincing.
Right. And now imagine that level of manipulation, but at scale, automated.
Whoa, okay, yeah. Things just got real.
This is why OpenAI's focus on ethics is so important. It's not just about safety, it's about making sure humanity is ready for a world where AI is this capable. Our jobs, the information we see, everything changes.
All right, so we've got all this power, all this potential, but when can we actually experience it? When is all this going to happen? Give us the dates.
Okay. Based on what we know, GPT 4.5 should be here in a matter of weeks, with GPT-5 following by the end of the year.
All right, so we have a rough timeline.
But no specifics, unfortunately.
Okay, so no launch parties planned just yet. But there are some clues out there, right? Like Altman's tweet about needing more servers.
Right. He said they don't have the computing power to release GPT 4.5 right away. They're waiting on more resources.
And that makes sense because these things are huge.
Exactly. And some people are thinking those extra servers aren't just for 4.5, they're for GPT-5 as well.
They're getting ready for the main event. Okay, so when will those servers be ready? Any educated guesses?
Arthur Vilcourt guessed late August or early September for GPT-5.
Late summer. Okay, I can see that.
It lines up with the 90-day safety review they mentioned.
Right, so that timeline actually makes a lot of sense.
Oh.
Okay, I am marking my calendar for late summer.
But there are still so many questions.
Oh, yeah. What will the interface look like? How much will it cost?
Yeah.
Will it actually live up to the hype? So many unknowns.
We'll just have to wait and see.
I guess that's part of the fun, right?
Exactly. The speculation, the anticipation.
It's like waiting for the next season of your favorite show.
There you go.
But this show is real life, and the stakes are way higher than just finding out who gets voted off the island.
Yeah.
We're talking about technology that could change everything.
No doubt about it. This is a big deal.
All right, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more detail I wanted to bring up.
Okay, what's that?
Renaud Decode mentioned something about GPT-5 potentially having offline functionality.
Ah, yes. That's a very interesting possibility.
That would be a game changer. No more worrying about Wi-Fi or cell service.
You'd have the power of GPT-5 with you wherever you go.
That's amazing. But how would that even work? These models are huge. They need tons of computing power.
The details are still a bit fuzzy, but there are a few possibilities. OpenAI could develop a smaller, more efficient version of GPT-5 that could run on a personal device.
Okay, so like a travel-size GPT-5 that you could take with you.
Exactly. Or they could utilize something called edge computing. Basically, some of the processing power is shifted to local devices or servers, so you're not completely reliant on the cloud.
Okay, that's getting a little technical for me, but I get the idea.
The point is, offline GPT-5 would be a huge step forward for AI accessibility.
It would make this incredible technology available to so many more people.
Exactly. People in remote areas, developing countries, anyone with limited internet access could potentially benefit.
So, GPT-5.
Yeah.
A potential portal to a future where AI is not just powerful, but portable and personal. I'm adding offline GPT-5 to my wish list.
It's definitely an exciting possibility.
All right, so we've got GPT 4.5 on the horizon, a significant upgrade to get us ready for the main event. And in the meantime, we'll be keeping our eyes peeled for any more news, any more clues about GPT-5 and what it means for all of us.
Absolutely. The AI world is moving fast, and we're here to help you make sense of it all.
Well said. Stay tuned for more deep dives, folks. This is just the beginning.
It's amazing, right? The pace of development in AI is just mind-blowing.
It really is. It feels like every week there's some new breakthrough, some new model, some new capability.
Yeah.
But, with all this focus on OpenAI and these big GPT models, I wonder if we're kind of missing the forest for the trees. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Well, what about all the other stuff happening in AI? The open source projects, the smaller startups, are they getting drowned out by all the noise around the big players?
That's a good point. OpenAI is making headlines, but they're not the whole story. The AI landscape is way more diverse than that.
Right. There's so much innovation happening outside of the big tech companies, like Stable Diffusion, for example.
Oh, yeah, Stable Diffusion, that's a great example.
Making these powerful image generation tools available to everyone. That's huge.
Huge. It's democratizing AI, putting these tools in the hands of artists, creators, anyone with an internet connection.
And then there are all those startups working on everything from robotics to healthcare, using AI in all sorts of creative ways.
Right. It's a whole ecosystem out there buzzing with activity, and it's constantly evolving.
Okay, so we've got OpenAI and Google pushing the boundaries with their big models. We've got the open source community making things more accessible, and we've got countless startups exploring new frontiers. That's a pretty exciting landscape, wouldn't you say?
It's incredibly exciting, and it's all happening so fast, it's hard to even keep up.
I know, right? But in all of this, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. Like, what does all this actually mean for us? For everyday people? How is AI going to change our lives?
That's the million-dollar question, and honestly, I don't think anyone has a definitive answer. But we can look at the trends, we can see the potential, and we can start to imagine what the future might hold.
Right. Like, how will AI change the way we work, the way we learn, the way we interact with the world?
These are big questions, and there are going to be challenges, for sure.
Yeah, people are worried about jobs, about AI taking over, about what it means for humanity.
Those are valid concerns, and we need to have those conversations. We need to be thoughtful about how we develop and deploy AI, how we manage the risks, how we ensure that it benefits everyone.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about something more concrete. You mentioned earlier that GPT 4.5 is built on old school technology, while GPT 5 is based on this new O series. Can you unpack that a little bit more for us?
Sure. So when we talk about old school GPT models, we're talking about how they process information. It's like a linear to-do list. They go through each step, one by one, following a set path.
Okay, so pretty straightforward, like following a recipe.
Right. But the O series, with its advanced reasoning capabilities, is more like a mind map. It's exploring multiple possibilities at the same time, branching out like a tree.
Okay, I like that analogy. So it's less about following a set path and more about exploring a web of potential solutions.
Exactly. And this is what makes GPT-5 so different. It's not just about generating text. It's about understanding the nuances of language, reasoning logically, and solving complex problems.
Makes sense.
Well,
but why is OpenAI being so secretive about all this? I mean, they've been using GPT 4.5 internally for months, and GPT-5 is supposedly in advanced training. Why not give us more details? What are they hiding?
Well, part of it is probably competitive advantage. They don't want to give their rivals too much information. But I also think there's a real sense of caution here. We're talking about AI that could potentially surpass human intelligence.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it's kind of scary. Like, are we opening Pandora's box?
That's why the work of OpenAI's Safety and Ethics Committee is so important. They're not just trying to prevent GPT-5 from causing harm, they're also thinking about the bigger societal impact. How do we make sure this technology is used responsibly? What safeguards do we need to put in place?
Right. It's not just about the tech itself. It's about how we use it.
Yeah.
So what are they actually doing to address these concerns? Their blog post was a bit vague on the specifics.
Well, they're taking a multi-pronged approach. They're doing extensive testing and evaluation, trying to find vulnerabilities and biases. It's like having ethical hackers try to find security flaws in software, but for AI.
So they're trying to break it before someone else does.
Exactly. They want to find the weaknesses before they can be exploited. They're also working on something called bias mitigation.
Bias mitigation, meaning?
Well, these models are trained on massive amounts of data, right? Text, code, images. And that data can contain biases, conscious or unconscious. So if the training data is biased, the AI can be biased too.
Right, you're only as good as the data you're trained on. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. So OpenAI is developing techniques to try to identify and correct those biases. They're looking at the data itself, the algorithms, the whole pipeline.
So they're trying to make sure the AI is fair, unbiased, and doesn't perpetuate harmful stereotypes.
That's the goal. And they're also thinking about the bigger picture, the impact of AI on society as a whole. They're talking to experts in economics, sociology, even philosophy to try to understand how this technology might change our world.
Okay, so it's not just about the tech itself. It's about the human side of the equation.
Exactly. It's about understanding the potential consequences, the ethical implications, and it's about making sure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
It's huge responsibility. All right, let's shift gears for a minute and talk about something a little more fun. Release dates. We know GPT 4.5 is coming soon, but what about GPT-5? Any concrete information on when we can expect that magical portal to open?
Well, officially, OpenAI is saying sometime by the end of the year.
Okay, so no specific date yet.
Not yet, but there are some hints we can look at. Remember that tweet from Altman about needing more servers?
Right. He said they didn't have enough computing power to release GPT 4.5 immediately.
And some people think that's not just for 4.5, it's for GPT-5 too. They're ramping up for something big.
Okay, so they're building up the infrastructure, getting ready for the main event.
Yeah.
But when will those servers be online? Any guesses?
Well, Arthur Vilcourt, one of the YouTubers we've been following, he predicted late August or early September for GPT-5.
Late summer release. Interesting. That actually lines up with the 90-day safety review they mentioned in their blog post.
Exactly. If they started the review right after Altman's tweet about the servers, then late summer, early fall makes perfect sense.
Okay, I'm starting to get excited now. Late summer, we're potentially looking at a whole new era of AI. But there are still so many unknowns.
Oh, yeah. What will the interface look like? How much will it cost? Will it live up to all the hype? We'll have to wait and see.
The anticipation is killing me. But I guess that's part of the fun.
Exactly. The speculation, the rumors, it's all part of the buildup.
It's like waiting for the next season of your favorite show, right?
You know.
But this show is real life, and the stakes are way higher than just finding out who gets voted off the island. We're talking about technology that could change everything.
This is not just entertainment. This is potentially a turning point in human history.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I got to bring up one more thing that's been on my mind. We've talked a lot about OpenAI, but what about the competition? They're not just going to sit back and let OpenAI take over, are they?
Of course not. The AI world is fiercely competitive. We already mentioned Anthropic and their Claude model.
Yeah, they're definitely nipping at OpenAI's heels.
But there are other players, too. Google, for example, they've been pretty quiet lately. But, they're working on something.
Google is a sleeping giant. They've got the resources, the talent, the data. I wouldn't count them out.
And then there's China. They're investing heavily in AI, and they're making some serious progress.
Right. Baidu's ErnieBot is already making waves.
Yeah.
And they're not just copying the West. They're coming up with their own unique approaches.
It's a global race at this point, and the pace is only accelerating.
Okay, so we've got OpenAI pushing the boundaries, Anthropic right behind them, Google lurking in the shadows, and China emerging as a major player. It's like an AI arms race.
It's exciting, but also a little bit daunting. We're in uncharted territory here.
So what does all this mean for the average person? How do we navigate this rapidly changing landscape?
I think the key is to stay informed, to be aware of what's happening, to think critically about the implications of AI, and to be part of the conversation. This is not something that's happening to us. It's something we're all creating together.
I like that. We're all in this together, shaping the future of AI. And that's what the deep dive is all about, right? helping people understand what's going on so they can make informed decisions about the future.
Exactly. It's about empowering people with knowledge so they can be active participants in this incredible technological revolution.
Okay, that's a great place to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll tackle the big question.
Mm.
What does all this mean for humanity? Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into GPT-5 and the future of AI. And, after all that, we've got to ask, what does this all mean for us? Like, for humanity as a whole.
The big question, right?
The big one, yeah. I mean, we've gone through all these YouTube videos, OpenAI's blog, and it's clear this isn't just another tech upgrade.
No, this is different.
GPT-5 feels different.
It's like a whole new era of AI is beginning.
Exactly. And one of the YouTubers, Renaud Decode, he said something that really stuck with me. He talked about the end of the how.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
He's saying, we won't always understand how the AI is doing what it does anymore. We'll just see the results.
It's a black box, in a way.
Yeah, and that's kind of unsettling, right? But also, maybe that's just the nature of progress.
Maybe. It's like, at some point, the technology becomes so complex we can't grasp all the details.
Right. So if that's the case, what does a world look like where we're working with, collaborating with, AI this advanced?
Well, think about scientific research. AI could help analyze huge data sets, spot patterns we'd never see, accelerate discoveries in medicine, material science.
Oh, yeah. Arthur Vilcourt was super excited about the possibilities for creative work. He's a musician. And he was talking about AI composing music, writing lyrics, even producing entire albums.
Right. And that raises all sorts of interesting questions, like what happens to copyright? Who owns the AI's creative output? Does the AI get any credit?
It's like we don't even have the legal frameworks in place for this stuff yet.
The laws are lagging behind the technology.
For sure. But okay, let's not forget the practical side of things. Jobs. What happens to jobs when AI could do so much?
Yeah, that's the big worry, right? Will robots take our jobs?
It's a valid concern. Some jobs will definitely be displaced, but the key, I think, is to adapt.
Adapt, yeah. AI can automate the repetitive tasks, the boring stuff, and that frees up humans to focus on more creative, strategic work.
Right, the stuff AI isn't so good at yet.
Exactly. We might even see whole new job categories emerge, jobs we haven't even thought of yet.
It's like the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed yet.
That's a great way to put it. Some people will adapt quickly, figure out how to use AI to their advantage.
Become AI whisperers.
Exactly. But others might get left behind if they don't keep up.
So what do we do? How do we prepare for this future?
Education is key. We need to teach people not just how to use AI, but how to think critically about it, how to understand its limitations, its potential biases.
So it's not just about learning to code, it's about learning to think like a programmer.
Right. Problem solving, adaptability, creativity, these are the skills that will be valuable in an AI-powered world.
Human skills, basically.
Human skills, exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is where I think things get really interesting. Because if we use it wisely, AI could actually help us become more human.
More human, I don't get it.
Think about it. What if AI takes over all the mundane tasks, the stuff that drains our time and energy? What would we do with all that free time?
I'd probably sleep in a lot more.
Maybe. But we could also connect with each other more, pursue our passions, explore our creativity, solve big problems, things that make us uniquely human.
So it's not AI versus humans, it's AI augmenting humans.
That's the hope, at least. But of course, there are risks, too. We can't just ignore those.
Yeah, the French YouTubers weren't shying away from the dark side. What happens if AI gets too smart? What if it develops its own goals, becomes self-aware?
That's the stuff of science fiction, but it's becoming less fictional every day.
It's both fascinating and terrifying at the same time, right? Like, are we creating something that will eventually surpass us?
It's a question we need to be asking ourselves as a society, and there are no easy answers.
Definitely not. So we've talked about the potential, the risks, the challenges. It's a lot to digest. What's the one thing our listeners should take away from all of this? What should they be thinking about as they wait for GPT-5?
I'd say the most important thing is to stay informed, to be engaged. Don't just passively consume the hype, dig deeper.
Learn how it works. Think critically about its impact.
Exactly. And be part of the conversation. The future of AI is not something that's just happening to us. It's something we're all creating together.
That's what I love about the deep dive. We're not just presenting information. We're encouraging people to think for themselves, ask questions, be curious.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to make the difference. Not the technology itself, but how we choose to use it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into GPT-5 and the future of AI, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. The future isn't predetermined. It's a blank canvas. And with tools like GPT-5 on the horizon, the choices we make today will shape the world we live in tomorrow. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. And thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.